Hi guys, Melissa here. If I haven't met you before, I know there are some newcomers, so welcome. Thanks for checking in. We're going to do a mat work Pilates class today with our foam roller and our TheraBand. Now, if you don't have those things, that's okay. You can use a rolled up towel as long as it's not too firm, or you can do these exercises without the foam roller. So it's really up to you. If you want to use the foam roller, then go for it, and if not, if you don't have one, then it's totally fine to do these exercises without. Just a bit of housekeeping. If you can leave yourself muted, please, and also keep your video switched off. It would have automatically happened, but if you could just leave it that way. If you've got any questions or anything, then feel free to unmute towards the end of the class. Just a little bit about me. I'm, like I said, Melissa. I have a background in osteopathy, so I'm an osteopath. I'm non-practicing now, and I now teach mat work Pilates instead. And I love teaching Pilates because I find that it really helps people to understand their body, helps them learn how to exercise safely, and also, get a really good workout and get strong. So we're going to go through the basics again. I know that for my regular clients, you will have heard this a million times. It never hurts to go over it again. But if you would like to do something else or do some stretching, then you're more than welcome to. But we are going to go over the basics. So two major things we talk about in our Pilates classes are our spinal positions and our T-zone. So we'll start with the T-zone. T-zone is basically a way that we describe the muscles that we use in Pilates to keep our spine safe, and our muscles that are deep and in our center. And they're muscles that are really important for spinal stability. They're really important to protect our lower back, to make sure we have good posture and all of those sorts of things. And for lots of reasons, sedentary lifestyle, or you might have injury. There's lots of reasons that those muscles can become weak. And so in all of our Pilates exercises, we're aiming to use those muscles. So the T-zone, we talk about the T-zone because we think of it in two separate parts. So the vertical part of the T, we think about as being our pelvic floor. So your pelvic floor, you imagine, are those internal muscles. And if you were to squeeze them, it's as if you're trying to stop yourself from going to the toilet. Now, it's not your glute muscles. So we're not talking about your muscles in your bottom here. They're the internal muscles. So when I say activate your pelvic floor, what I'm asking you to do is to squeeze those internal muscles as if you're trying to stop yourself going to the bathroom. The horizontal part of that T represents the deep abdominals. So they're the transversus abdominis muscles. They're deeper than the big six-pack muscles that we have, that that people work at the gym to get, those bulgy muscles. They're a lot deeper than that, and they are much more important in stabilizing our back, and have a much more important role to play. And that starts in our lower back, wraps around through the front, through the waist, and inserts into the front, almost like a corset. So we think about them in that T position. And I'll say things like activate your T-zone, draw your navel in towards your spine, draw up your pelvic floor. And whenever I use that terminology, I'm asking you to do the same thing. So we're going to have a practice of that first, and then we'll move on to our spinal positions before we start our class. So we're going to come to lie on our back with our knees bent up. Arms are relaxed by our side. Shoulders are nice and relaxed, so try not to have any tension in your neck. Feet and knees are hip distance apart, and we're just going to have a go at activating now. So I want you to use your hands to find the bony parts at the front of the hip. And then I want you to place your fingers just to the inside of that and press down quite firmly so that you're in that soft area just to the inside of those bony hip bones at the front. So we're going to think about that vertical part of the T that I was talking about, so your pelvic floor first. And we're going to have a go at activating that first. So breathe in through your nose. And then as you breathe out, I just want you to squeeze your pelvic floor. So as if you're trying to stop yourself from going to the toilet. And what you should feel is that the muscles come up underneath your fingers. So inhale, release, let it go soft. And then as you exhale, squeeze that pelvic floor. Good, and inhale, release, last one. And exhale, squeeze. Good, so now we're going to talk about that horizontal part, and we're going to activate the two together. So inhale, release, let everything go soft. And then as you breathe out, I want you to squeeze your pelvic floor and at the same time, draw your navel in towards your spine. So as if you're trying to make a little cave in your tummy. And what you should feel is that those muscles come up even further under your fingers. So there's something happening underneath your fingers. Those internal muscles are activating. So inhale, release. Let's try again. Exhale, pelvic floor up and navel in. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Good. So with all of our Pilates exercises, our aim is to use those muscles all of the time. And that takes a lot of practice. So I don't want you to worry too much about whether or not you can maintain it throughout the entire exercise, or you feel as though you can maintain it throughout the entire exercise. A lot of the exercises we are doing sort of make you use those muscles. What I want you to focus more on is where you're feeling it. So as much as you can, try and switch those muscles on, and I'll cue you over and over again throughout the workout. But I want you to make sure that you're feeling the exercise where you're supposed to. So if we're working on our abdominal muscles, which I'll tell you, I want you to feel it in your abdominal muscles. If we're working on our glutes, I want you to feel it in your glutes. If we're working on our shoulders, I want you to feel it in your shoulders. At no point should you feel lower back pain. At no point should you feel any numbness or tingling sensations or any pain whatsoever. You should feel work, you should feel your muscles working, but you shouldn't feel pain. So if you do, you need to just stop that exercise. It's really hard in this environment for me to come around and check what you're doing. So if you don't feel like you're getting it correctly, or if you feel it in the wrong spot, just stop and wait for the next exercise to start. So quickly, our final positions now. We're going to make a triangle shape with our hands, fingers meeting in the middle, thumbs as well. And we're going to place that triangle on our pelvis so that our fingers are touching our pubic bone and our thumbs are meeting in the middle. So neutral spine is when we have a natural curve in our lower back with our tailbone down. So we have normal curves in our spine, a slight curve in our neck, a slight curve in the opposite direction in our mid-back, and another one in our lower back in the opposite direction. So neutral spine is when we have that nice natural curve in our lower back. And if we were to look up, we should see that our fingers and our thumbs are nice and level. So we shouldn't have our fingers higher than our thumbs, and we shouldn't have our thumbs higher than our fingers. So they should be nice and level. So that's our neutral spine. Imprinted spine is when we use our T-zone muscles, so the muscles we were talking about before, to draw our spine in towards the mat, and so that the fingers come slightly higher. So you should be able to see, as I draw my spine in towards the mat, my fingers come higher. So neutral spine, imprinted spine. And it definitely doesn't come from your glute muscle. So it doesn't come from your bottom, it comes from your tummy. So it's very easy for me to just push my spine into the mat by squeezing my glutes. I don't want you to do that. I want you to keep the spine neutral and just draw the navel in towards the spine to imprint it that way. So let's have a little practice. Inhale, T-zone. And exhale, draw in and imprint. Good. Inhale, release. 2 more. And exhale, draw in. Inhale, release. Very good. And exhale, draw in. Excellent. And go back to neutral. Good. So we've focused on our Pilates basics now. We're going to get into the workout. So we're all going to come up and we're going to do some wide squats or plies. And if you have a band, you can use your band for this exercise, or you can use a foam roller if you have a foam roller. I'm going to use the band today. So if you don't have a band, just do all of the actions I'm doing with my arms without the band, okay? That's totally fine. So we want to make sure we have a nice wide stance. So we're not doing a toes forward squat, we're doing a wide squat with our toes facing out. And we want to make sure that our knee can press over our toes. So what we don't want is for us to roll in on our feet so that our knees roll in. We want to keep the knees pressing out. Our arms are holding the band, so the hand is between the thumb and the forefingers, and we draw our shoulders down and back. So we need to make sure that we're not tensing up through our neck. So we're going to work our shoulder blades here, and also we're going to warm up our legs obviously a little bit as well. So inhale, T-zone, so pelvic floor up, navel in, and then as we breathe out, we lower ourselves into that plie, and we draw the band across the chest, and we really want to try and get our hands past our body. So inhale, up, exhale, lower. 1, Good, keep going. 2, 3, squeeze the bottom as you come up. 4, good, pelvic floor up. Exhale as we lower. Inhale up. 7. And then we do tiny pulses. So we're going to lower ourselves and do tiny pulses. Squeeze. 2. So that band is open. You should feel your shoulders working. 4, 3, 2. And then we're going to do another set. So inhale, come up. And exhale, lower. Now, it doesn't matter if you're not going down very far. If you already feel your legs are working really hard, it's okay to make them slightly not as deep. But if you want to make them harder, take a wider stance and go lower. Keep the tailbone tucked under. So we're not poking the bottom out. We're keeping the bottom tucked under. Good. 2. Let's do those pulses again. 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's try and hold it. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and up. Whew, very good. Place the band to the side and walk the feet in. Good. So we're going to have our feet shoulder and hip distance apart here. So we're nice and lined up. Hands are on the hips. And we're going to take a chair seat. So this time we're going to actually press our hips back. Now again, to make it easier, don't go quite as far. To make it harder, take a deeper seat. We're going to lift our arms up towards the ceiling. Make sure you're not tensing your neck though, so draw the shoulders down. One toe is going to come up and we're going to pulse. 2, 3, 4. Heart rate should be getting up a little. And then switch feet. 2, 3, 4. Switch for 4 counts now. 4, 3, 2, and switch. 4, 3, 2, switch for 2. 1, 2, and then we're going to do singles. So switch, 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 switch. 6, 7, 8, and up. Whew. Burn your legs. Very good. Just shake those legs out a little. Take a slightly wider stance, and we're going to twist and stretch. Good. So arms are nice and wide. And we're just twisting our body, and it should feel quite nice through our mid and lower back. And breathe. And just slowing that down. And we're going to do some work on our foam roller now. So remembering, if you don't have a foam roller, that's completely fine. Make sure that if you do have one, that it's not a short one. So there's a lot of foam rollers that sort of stop here. We need to have a nice long one, 90 centimeters, so that we can place our whole spine along the foam roller. And the easiest way to get on it is to sit right on the edge of it and then lower ourselves down. Knees are bent up, feet and knees are hip distance apart, and our whole spine is lying on that foam roller. And what we're going to do here is a little bit of thoracic extension, so opening up through the chest. We're going to bring our arms up, palm facing inwards, and we're going to draw the shoulders down away from the ears. As we breathe in, we're going to open one arm out to the side. And then as we breathe out, we're going to bring it back to the center and draw up our pelvic floor. Let's swap sides. So inhale, the other arm comes down, and exhale, draw it up. Now you might find that's enough work. Inhale, open, and exhale, close. If you'd like to make it more challenging and you have it, bring your band into the equation. So holding the band between the thumb and the forefinger. And what we're going to do is draw that shoulder blade down and back as we open. Inhale back, so we're alternating sides. Exhale, open. Make sure that band is at across the chest level. So it's not up here over your face. Your shoulders need to be drawn down and back, that we're working those lower trapezius muscles, those really important muscles that keep our shoulder blades in that nice drawn back position. And they often get weak with poor posture. This is a really nice exercise, particularly because you've got your chest nice and open to work those muscles. So alternating sides and keep going. Now, if you don't have that foam roller here, very easy to do this exercise without it. So exactly the same thing, drawing that shoulder down and back, and inhale up, other side, and exhale. Good, and if you don't have a band, just doing it without the band. Opening up through the chest. Good, so we're going to do both arms now. So we're going to inhale, open both arms, and exhale. As we bring the arms back, draw up that pelvic floor. So T-zone, T-zone, T-zone. Inhale, open, and exhale, draw up. Let's do 2 more. Inhale, open, exhale, back, and last one, and back. So we're going to do a really nice thoracic extension stretch here. So if you're on your foam roller, just stay there. If you don't have a foam roller and you're working with a towel and a pillow, I want you to roll up a towel, place it into the center of the back. Should be a little bit bigger than this one. I haven't got a big one with me here. And we're going to lie on that foam roller, on that ball, and just open up through the chest. So I want the arms to come out to the side like a scarecrow. Elbows are lower, head is relaxed. So make sure there is a pillow under your head. You don't want your neck going into extension. And in this position, we're going to do some really deep breaths. So as we breathe in, I want you to allow the front of the ribs to open, forwards and sideways, nice and deeply. And then as we breathe out, we're drawing up our pelvic floor and our navel in. Let's do a couple more breaths here. Inhale, open. Really open, open, open those ribs so that you can feel a tiny stretch between the ribs, those intercostal muscles. And exhale, T-zone. Good, keep going. Inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. 2 more. Inhale. And exhale. Opening through the chest. Very good. Staying on the foam roller, we're going to place our arms by our side, elbows, forearms and hands resting on the mat. Draw those shoulders down and back. So we're going to do a bit of a body scan here. Starting from the head, making sure that the top of the neck is nice and relaxed, that the chin is slightly tucked in, the shoulders are relaxed and down away from the ears. Elbows, forearms and hands are resting on the mat. Nice soft contact with the feet without the toes turning in and out. Knees and hips nice and lined up. So we're going to go into a single leg extension. Now, if you're more experienced, you can do this in tabletop position with both legs. Otherwise, we're going to do it one leg at a time. T-zone switches on, so pelvic floor up, navel in. And then as we breathe out, we're going to bring one leg into a tabletop. So it's called tabletop because our knee lines up over our hip and our shin is parallel with the ceiling like a table. So inhale again, draw the tummy in. And then as you breathe out, I want you to extend the leg. So reach it out and lower it, but don't let the back arch. So the tummy muscles stay switched on and we don't let that spine move out of neutral. Inhale to draw that leg back in and exhale, reach out. Inhale, draw in and exhale, reach. So if you're doing this without the foam roller, it's exactly the same. Spine is neutral unless you've got both legs up. Stays neutral throughout the exercise. Make sure if you're on the foam roller, you've got a nice relaxed contact. So don't press through the hands. Even if you don't have the foam roller, try not to grip onto the mat or press too much through the hands. It's the tummy muscles that are doing the work to keep you nice and stable. So you should feel this in your tummy. You should feel it in that leg as well. So a little bit through the front of the leg, or a lot in some cases. Try to keep that tummy drawn in. Remember, it doesn't matter how low that leg goes. So if you feel like this is low enough, that's fine. You may not need to go down very far at all. Let's do 2 more. Inhale, draw in. Exhale, reach. And draw in. And reach. And back. And lower that leg. We're going to move straight onto the other side. So if you need to, relax those shoulders down. Make sure you've got your nice posture reset. We'll move straight onto the other side. T-zone switches on. Exhale, the other leg comes into a tabletop position. Knee lines up over the hip, shin parallel with the ceiling. Inhale again, tummy switches on. And exhale, reach and lower. Inhale, draw in. And exhale, reach. It helps sometimes to have a bit of turn out of that leg. So if you're really feeling like your leg is on fire here, as you reach it out, try and turn it out so that the inside of the knee reaches towards the ceiling, or is facing the ceiling, I should say. Inhale, draw in. And exhale, reach. T-zone, T-zone, T-zone as you lower the leg. Good. So if you're doing this in the harder version of this and you want to bring both legs into tabletop, keep going. We imprint the spine, bring the other leg up. And continue, just with one leg at a time. Inhale, draw in. And exhale, reach. Don't let the back arch. Good. So let's do 2 more on this side. And back. Last one. And back. Good, and lower that leg. And let's rest. So we're going to come back up into that nice open position with the arms, making sure the elbow is higher than shoulder height. So not down low, nice and high, opening up through the front of the chest. Nice deep breaths here. Really try and open that chest. Try and let those arms sink a little further towards the mat. And if you don't have that foam roller underneath you, just being in this nice open position is so good for your mid-back, particularly, I don't know about you, but the last few weeks, being stuck at home a lot, not being anywhere near as active as I'm used to being, and that mid-back gets stiff. Also been doing a lot of gardening. Good, 2 more. Very good. Bring those arms back by our side, elbows, forearms, and hands resting on the mat. So we're going to have a go at placing our legs into a tabletop position, both legs. And this is a time when we need to use that imprinted spine that we talked about at the start of the class. Now we need to use it because this places a lot of strain on that lower back. And if we have any weakness in through that area, you'll note you won't be able to maintain that imprinted spine. So if you can't, that's completely fine. You do not need to do the whole exercise with your legs, with both of your legs up. You can do it one leg at a time, and I'll show you how to do that in a tick. So we'll get the more difficult version of the exercise started first. So T-zone switches on. Exhale, draw the spine in towards the foam roller. So we're pressing the spine gently in. One leg comes up and then the other. Nice and stable. Toe taps. So we're going to breathe in as we're lowering the leg. And then as we breathe out, we bring it back. And we're going to alternate sides. Inhale, the other leg drops towards the mat. Doesn't matter if it's not very far. It might only be an inch. Exhale back. Most important thing as you're lowering that leg is that you don't let your lower back lift from the mat or the foam roller. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Keep going. So the easier version of this exercise, if you can't keep your legs up like that, is to just do it one leg at a time. So we inhale that leg up, exhale, lower, inhale back, keep the spine nice and still, exhale, lower, and back, and then we'll do 3 on each side and switch feet. So inhale up, exhale, lower, inhale back, and lower. Good. Keep going. If you're still on that foam roller, or if you're still on the mat with both legs in tabletop, you should really be feeling your tummy working now. Abs of steel. Inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. Let's do 1 more on each side. And exhale. Shoulders relaxed. And exhale. Very good. And if you've got your leg, you've got your foam roller there, placing one leg down at a time. Slowly roll off the foam roller and place it to the side. And we get ready to do a spinal stretch. So one leg out straight, the other leg bent up. Tuck the foot behind the straight knee and then gently bring that knee across the body. Reaching the opposite arm out to the side. I don't think this position is as good as the one last time. Apologies if you're having trouble seeing what I'm doing. We're going to come back to the middle and switch legs. So that leg straightens, the other one bends up. Reaching one arm out to the side, holding on the outside of the knee, and then bringing that knee across. Couple more breaths. And coming back to the middle. Very good. So we're going to move straight into some curl ups now. So we've done a lot of work with the lower legs. Our hip flexors will be nice and tired now. So we're going to give the legs a bit of a break and we're going to come into our curl ups. So they look, for someone who has never done Pilates before, they look very much like sit-ups, but they're very different. So with a traditional sit-up that we would do at the gym, or a crunch, what we call them, we're generally, as we sit up, our tummy is pushing out. So we're not thinking about drawing in. And that's because we're using those more superficial muscles. So the muscles, the abdominal muscles that are on the top that give us that nice bulgy six-pack look. Even if you can't see them, they're definitely under there. Those are not the muscles that we really want to focus on with these curl ups. It's the internal muscles. And the way we do that is by switching them on before we curl up. So we always activate our T-zone before we start. And then as we curl up, instead of thinking about pushing ourselves or crunching ourselves up, we're thinking about drawing ourselves in. So we're thinking about drawing the tummy in towards the spine. So we interlace our hands, place them behind our head. Our elbows are nice and wide. So we want to make sure we don't end up with our elbows around our face. Our feet and knees are hip distance apart. Wiggle the shoulder blades down so that they're nice and away from the ears. Spine is neutral, so we're not pressing our spine into the mat anymore. We've got a nice relaxed curve in the lower back with the tailbone down. T-zone switches on. So pelvic floor up, navel in towards the spine as we inhale. And then as we breathe out, we're going to draw ourselves up, keeping a small gap between the chin and the chest. Eyes look towards the knees and drawing the spine on the navel in towards the spine. And inhale as we lower back down, keep the elbows wide. And exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. And lift. Now you'll notice that I'm doing them a lot slower than what you see people do them at the gym. And that's because I really have to concentrate on my on the order in which I switch my muscles on. So I really want to feel my pelvic floor draw up, my navel draw in, and then I can lift. So we're not rushing through that section. Draw up that T-zone first. Now, if you want to make this a bit harder, guys, you can come into tabletop. So we imprint our spine, bring one leg up and then the other, glue the knees and the feet together, and the same curl up from the lower body. So remembering any exercise that we do in imprint, we need to be able to make sure we can maintain it. So if you start feeling as though your lower back is lifting and you can't keep it pressing in, place the feet down one at a time and continue the exercise with your feet down. Good, so you should feel those abs working. Let's do 2 more. Don't rush, make sure you get the technique right. T-zone first, then curl up. Right, going straight into an oblique curl. I know it's hard work, keep going. So we're gonna draw ourselves up and across, not the elbow across, the shoulder across to the opposite hip. Inhale back to the middle. Exhale, draw the shoulder across to the opposite hip. Inhale back. Exhale, lift. Now, if you've got both of those legs in tabletop, you can continue to do the curl ups with the oblique lift. Same exact thing, just the legs up. Elbows wide. Try not to tense the neck. Good, keep going. Exhale, lift. Inhale, down. 1 more on each side, guys. Exhale, lift. Inhale, down. Last one. Exhale, lift. Inhale, down. And rest. Very good. Let the legs straighten. Let the arms reach above the head. Let the tummy muscles relax. And just have a few deep breaths there. So I just want to talk very briefly about the muscles in our neck. So what typically tends to happen when we have poor posture is that we get tightness in the muscles of the back of the neck and shoulders and weakness in the muscles at the front of the neck. So when we have that, I'm not sure if you can see it in this position. So what happens is if we have poor posture and we tilt forward, so we've got a hunch, what happens to our neck to keep our eyes level is we have to jut the chin out, tension in the back of the neck, stretching or too much, length in the front of the neck. So with a lot of these exercises, when we're doing a curl up or when we're lifting the chin, we're really using that front of the neck, which is why I cue tuck the chin in slightly. Now it's not pressing the chin into the chest, it's just a real tuck in. And what you'll find if you've got weakness in the front there is that you will feel work in through the front of the neck. And I don't want you to be frightened of that sensation because you are strengthening in through the front there. What we don't want you to feel is that you've got tightness or soreness in the back of the neck. And we don't want you to get to the point where the muscles in the neck are so tired that you can no longer keep your chin tucked in. So if you're doing a curl up and your muscles in the front of the neck are really tired and you're letting your chin jut out because you can't maintain the tuck in, and that's the sign that your muscles in the front of the neck are too tired and not working properly. And so we rest down. So we don't want to press through that because you're going to use the muscles in your neck incorrectly. So like I said, it's okay for you to feel work in the front of the neck as long as you don't feel tension in the back of the neck and as long as you can keep the chin slightly tucked in. So we're going to do another round of those, guys. Not as long as the last one, but we are going to do another round. And I want you to think about that chin position this time as well. So get ourselves set up correctly. Nice long line between the foot, knee and hip. So we're not curling the knees in and out. They're nice and in line. Our hands interlaced, elbows nice and wide, shoulders wiggled down and back. T-zone switches on. And then as we breathe out, we're going to curl up. So chin tucks towards the chest. And then inhale, lower back down. No, it's not crushing the chest. I like to try and think about a medium-sized tomato that you've got between your chin and your chest. And you can't squash it and make a mess, but you don't want to drop it either. So it's a nice consistent gap between that chin and that chest as you lift. Remembering, you can make this harder, guys, by having your legs in tabletop if you're strong enough. Let's do 2 more. So if you've got the strength, imprint the spine, bring the legs into tabletop, squeeze the knees and the feet together and keep going. Right, let's do the oblique curl next. Exhale, lift and twist. So drawing the shoulder towards the opposite hip. Inhale back to the middle. Other side. Inhale back. Remember not to let those knees creep towards you. So if you've got your legs in tabletop, we don't want them to wind up too close to us and we don't want them to wind up too far away from us. So keep them in that correct tabletop position. Good. Let's do 1 more on each side. I know your tummy's tired. Exhale, lift. Inhale back, last one. And lift. And back, very good. And bring the knees into the chest. And rest. And just rock gently there. Just release off that lower back. So you can rock forward and back and also side to side. Very nice. So we're going to sit up now and do a little bit of work on our arms, a little more work on our arms, I should say. And we're going to use the band. Now, I know not all of you have got a band. Someone very clever, it was Jen, suggested leggings because they've got a bit of stretch in them. You can use a towel for some of the exercises, but for this particular exercise, it needs to have give. So it's not going to work if you've got a stiff towel because we need to be able to give a little bit of resistance, but also get the elbows past the body. So if you don't have a band, you can try some tights or leggings. And if you don't have tights or leggings, you can just do all of these exercises without. So you're still going to get work in through the shoulder blades by using it without the band. Not as much, but you will get some. And this is all about posture, these exercises. So everything with Pilates is about normalizing those spinal curves, trying to get you as flexible in that correct position as we can. So we need to try and sit up nice and tall. So we need to find those bony parts in the bottom of our bottom and sit on them. Our knees are bent, our feet are flexed, and we cross the band over. So cross the band over, And we're going to grab the band down close to the feet. Now, obviously, the more bands that you take up, the more resistance it's going to provide. So if you're finding the exercise particularly easy, take up a little more band. And if you're finding it really hard, you don't have to take up as much. So we're sitting up nice and tall, T-zone switches on. And then as we breathe out, we're going to draw the shoulders down and back and get those elbows past the body. So inhale, release, and exhale, pull. Inhale, release, and exhale, pull. Now make sure you're not tensing the neck. So the reason we have the elbows out wide is that generally if people have the elbows close, their shoulders hitch up towards the ears, and we don't want that. We don't want to activate those upper trapezius muscles. They're usually tight enough already. So drop those shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, pull. Inhale, release. So the other thing you can use is tubing. So some people, if they have that exercise tubing, you can use this as well. Sometimes they even have little handles on them. You can just place the tubing around the feet, grab the handles and pull. Good. And then we're going to do little pulses with the band. So hold the band out and squeeze the shoulder blades together. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And 4, 3, 2, second set. Inhale, release. Exhale, pull 1. And 2. Good, keep going. 3. And 4. Just bear with me, guys. And 5. And 6. And 7. And 8. Little pulses again. Pulse. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And hold it. Hold, 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 hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Very good. Just drop the feet, reach underneath the legs, hold onto the elbows, and lean away from the thighs. So it's as if someone's trying to press your chest away from your knees so that your shoulder blades separate. You get a nice stretch between the shoulder blades, stretching and lengthening those muscles that we've just worked. Two more breaths. And release. Very good. So we're going to turn to lie back onto our back now. And we're going to do leg circles with the band. Now, if you have that towel, you can use the towel for this exercise. So I'm going to demonstrate it with a towel for those of you that don't have the band. So what we're going to do is place the band or the towel over the foot. And we want to have it not so much over the heel. It needs to be over the ball of the foot and the arch of the foot. And we're going to reach that leg up towards the ceiling. Now, depending on how long your towel is, ideally we want to have the elbows resting on the mat, but if you can't do that, that's fine. So leg circles is a nice exercise just to open up through the hip joint, but also work on the stability of our T-zone. So I want you to imagine you've got a paintbrush on the end of your big toe, and I want you to turn your T-zone on. So T-zone switches on as we inhale. And then as we breathe out, we're going to draw a circle with our big toe. And then we breathe in as we come back to the center. And exhale, circle. 2, 3, 4. So it's a very slow circle. Good, keep going. I'm going to do it without the towel, just so you can see what I'm doing. Exhale, circle. 2, 3, inhale, back to the middle. And again. So when we do this circle, I really want you to make sure that it's correct. So what I mean by that is that it's nice and curved on all sides. It's not a D shape, so there's no straight bits. It's not a triangle. Breathe in, and we're going to go the opposite direction now. So across the body or the other way if you've started the other way. And inhale back to the middle. And again. And inhale back to the center. So you should feel this in your tummy. Your tummy should be switched on. And you should feel it through your leg as well. What you shouldn't feel is your leg rocking around. So your tummy needs to be really switched on so that your pelvis doesn't move. So it's just the leg that's moving. Let's do one more this way. And release and bend the knee in. So we're going to do 4 in each direction, same leg without any support. So put the band or the towel to the side. Now, if you have a lot of trouble getting your leg up there, if you've got really tight hamstrings, it's okay for you to do your leg slightly further away. And it's also okay to bend your knee. So you can do this exercise with a bent knee if you really need to. What I mean by rocking around is that when you do this circle, I don't want this hip, the opposite hip, to move. So it shouldn't be any lifting of that hip off the mat, because our T-zone is gluing ourselves to gluing our spine and our pelvis to the mat. So as we rotate the leg, this pelvis or this half of the body and hip stays nice and still. And even if that means that your circle is really tiny, so it doesn't matter how big the circle is. It's not a competition as to how big the circle is. It's more about keeping yourself nice and stable. So we're going to do it on the other side. Go back to the first leg, so the leg we've just done, and have a go without any support. So T-zone switches on, and exhale, circle 1, 2, 3, inhale back to the middle. So nice and slowly. Take 4 counts to do your circle. 2, 3, and 1 more this way. I know your leg's on fire, keep working through it. Inhale back to the center, other side, other way. 1, 2, 3, inhale back to middle. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 1, 2, 3. Last one. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and release. And just roll that ankle around. Well done. That's a really challenging exercise. Much harder than it looks. Good. So we're going to do that all on the other side now. So you're going to place your band or your towel back around the foot. Reach it up towards the ceiling. Holding the band into the belly, if that's what you've got, making sure the elbows are nice and relaxed, shoulders are away from the ears, and we're reaching through the toes. So it doesn't have to be a pointed toe, particularly if you get calf cramps. Sometimes that's really difficult to do. So you can have a slightly flexed foot, but ideally we want to be reaching through the toes so that all of these muscles are nice and switched on. So we inhale at the top, and then as we breathe out, we circle the leg. 1, 2, 3, and we inhale as we come back to the center. And again. Now remember what I said about that opposite hip. So if you're not sure if you're doing it correctly, you can actually place your hand on that opposite hip. So one hand on the band or towel, one hand on the hip, and really feel whether or not you can feel that hip moving. So I can really feel my abdominal muscles working hard here. Yes, my leg's burning. Yes, my hip flex is burning. Yes, my leg is really working hard, but my tummy's working too. It's working hard to keep myself stable through that rotation. 1 more this way. Breathe in at the top. Let's reverse, other way. 1, 2, 3, inhale back to the center. And again. And again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Remember to try and make it nice and round. So we're not drawing a triangle. We're not drawing a square or a D or even an oval shape. We're drawing a circle. Let's do 1 more this way. Circle, 2, 3, and 4. And release the band, place it to the side, and rest. Good. So remember, we're going to try 4 in each direction now without any support. So this is harder without the support. And remembering that you can take a bit of bend in the knee if you need to take the pressure off the hip flexor. So we're going to reach that leg back up to the ceiling, reach through the toes, T-zone switches on, and circle. Inhale back to center. And again, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 1 more this way. And reverse it. 1, 2, 3, inhale back to the middle. Imagine that paintbrush on your toe. 1, 2, 3, and last one. Here we go. 1, 2. Tummy should be switched on, and release. And roll that ankle. Well done. And we're going to stretch the legs out now using our band or our towel. So you can use either band or the towel. We're going to start off with our hamstrings. Place the band around one foot here. And we're going to bring that leg towards us, reaching the other leg out. If it's more comfortable to have it bent out, that's okay. Bent up, that's okay. And what I really want you to focus on here is where you feel the stretch. So where I want you to feel it is in the back of the upper thigh. Now, if you feel it in your knee and in your calf muscle, that's okay, but you must feel it here as well, in the back of the thigh. So that stretching sensation that you get in the back of the knee and the calf is not a hamstring stretch. It's more of a sciatic nerve type of a stretch. So we really want to localize the stretch in the back of the thigh. And for what that means for most people is they have to have a bit of bend in the knee. So you see a lot of people stretching with straight knees and only feeling that burning sensation in the calf or the foot. And that's not a hamstring stretch. This is a theory of mine as to why so many people have hamstring problems. So that's not a hamstring stretch if you don't feel it in your hamstring. If you need to take a bit of bend in the knee, bring the leg closer towards you. And sometimes you even may need to drop it out to the side slightly. And I really want you to feel it in the back of the thigh. And then we make it an active stretch. So we're not just waiting around, even if the stretch feels a bit better, just taking in one position. I want you to exhale and try and get a little more out of it, a few more millimeters of stretch as you exhale. So we're going to take our time here and really lengthen the legs out. We've done a lot of work on our legs today. And now we're going to stretch the inner thigh. So what we're going to do is slowly let that leg fall out to the side, but keeping the opposite hip or the pelvis staying on the mat. So we don't want the other hip to lift. We're to keep it pressing back down and just open that leg out to the side. And you should feel the stretch in the inner thigh. And what you can actually do in this position is turn the heel up towards the ceiling to increase the stretch. Good. And then we're going to bring the leg across the body. So this time we won't be able to go as far this way. And this is when it's okay to feel a bit of that nervy, burny, sciatic nerve type of a stretch. So I don't want you to lift the hip so that the hip and the pelvis need to stay glued to the mat. You're just bringing the leg across. And it's surprising how little movement is required for you to feel a really strong stretch through the back and side of the leg, into the calf muscle, even into the foot. A real sciatic-y, nervy type of a stretch. So the sciatic nerve passes through or over the glute, one of the muscles in our glute, goes down the side, or it branches off, but in lots of different areas. But there's a big chunk of it in our glute. So this stretch is really stretching through that point where it crosses across the glutes. And we'll come back to the middle and switch legs. So take the other leg into the band and into that hamstring stretch. So reaching the other leg down and remembering where we want to feel the stretch. So you must feel it in the back of the upper thigh, not just in the calf or the foot or in the back of the knee. So if that means that you need to play with the angle of the hip, you might need to bend the knee a little more. You might need to straighten a little more. You might need to gently rock it out to the side slightly. I know I need to. I always have to have my legs slightly out to the side to really localize the stretch to the hamstring. Everyone's anatomy is a little different. So it's not going to be the same for you as it is for me. You need to work within your body to get it in the right spot. Usually you'll know when you get it in the right spot. It'll be a bit of a sweet spot for you. And remember, make it an active stretch. So don't just let the stretch sensation go away and not gently stretch a little further. Good. So then we're going to let that leg fall out to the side now. So slowly letting that leg fall out to the side. I've got the bookcase in the way here, so I'm coming on a bit of an angle. Remembering the most effective time to hold a stretch for is at least 30 seconds. So we don't want to rush through these stretches or they won't have any effect. We really want to make sure we take our time to lengthen our muscles. And then we're going to do some more work. Slowly lengthening. Got my foot resting on the bookcase. Not a very effective stretch for me, but hopefully you can get the idea. And then we're going to bring the leg across the body. So remembering the tailbone needs to stay down. So we're not lifting the hip or the pelvis, just the leg comes across. You should feel a pretty gnarly, nervy type of a stretch down the back and side of the legs. Very good. 2 more breaths. And we're going to move on to some glutes. You did think I forgot about glutes, did you? All right, we're coming back to the middle. Let's release off the band. And we're going to come into 4-point kneeling, guys. So, what is 4-point kneeling? So 4-point kneeling position is when we have 4 points of contact of the mat. So both of our hands and both of our knees. And what we want to make sure is that we've got a really good posture in this position. So it's really easy, particularly as we get a bit tired in these exercises, for us to lose this correct position. So we have our knee lining up underneath our hip, our hands lining up underneath our shoulders. And what we really want to make sure is that we still have a nice neutral spine. So we don't want to be looking back towards our knees or looking too far away. We don't want to be arching the back or letting it sink in. And we don't want to be tucking the bottom underneath or pressing it out. So we should have that nice, neutral, natural curve in our lower back, mid back, and upper back. And the other point is our shoulder position. So particularly as we get tired with these exercises, we have a tendency to sink in on our shoulders. So you can see how my chest has dropped in that position. So I don't want you to do that. I want you to keep pressing away from the mat. Keep that chin tucked in like we talked about before. We want to make sure the front of the neck is working and the back of the neck is long. So we're not having this tension in through the neck. So keep pressing away from the mat and keep that gentle tuck in. So we're going to work the glutes. So one knee is going to come into the center of the mat. So if I was to face you, it would look like this. So one knee is going to come into the center and take our weight, and the other knee is going to hover slightly off the mat. And we're going to do an position, so we're working the glutes. So hovering on that knee, T-zone is drawn up, so pelvic floor up and navel in. And then as we breathe out, we reach out that leg. Now I don't want this to happen, yeah? So we're not arching the lower back. I don't care how high your leg goes. It has absolutely nothing to do with how high your leg goes. I want you to use your T-zone muscles, so your tummy, to stop yourself from arching your back. And all we're doing is squeezing the glutes. So inhale, draw the leg back in, and exhale, reach through the toes. Don't move your lower back. Keep the lower back still. We're not working the lower back here. We're working the hip, the muscles of the hip. Inhale, draw that leg in. Exhale, reach. Now you will feel this exercise in both legs. So that supporting leg, your glutes are going to be working on that supporting leg, and obviously they're going to be working on that leg that's reaching as well. Inhale, draw the leg in, and exhale, reach. Good. So we're going to reach and hold now. Reach and hold. And we're going to do tiny circles with our foot. So it's as if you're tracing a coin. They're really small circles, not huge ones, just tiny ones. And 4. Tummy in. 2, 1, and then reverse the circles the other way. Glutes should be on fire. 4, and 3, 2, and 1. Draw that leg in. This time, we're going to keep the knee bent. We're going to flex the foot and press the heel up towards the ceiling. So inhale, draw the leg in, and exhale, press. Inhale, draw in, and press. Good. So if you're trying to place your foot on the ceiling.
Good, 2 more. 2 weeks of working hard, I know. Inhale and exhale and hold it. Little pulses. 8, 7, 6, 5. Tummy in, don't let the back arch. 3, 2, hold it up. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Very good. So let's stretch our glutes out after all of that. So that knee that's just worked, and I want you to bring it all the way through to the front of you. Sit behind it, and then lean over it. So one knee is at the front. I don't like this position of the camera next time. I think I'll go back to where it was before, just because you get a bit of a different view. So we're leaning over that knee, and you should feel a stretch in the glute of the leg that was moving. I know both glutes were working, but we're focusing on stretching that one that was moving at the moment. And just like with our hamstring stretch, we really want to slowly exhale and get a little more out of the stretch. Very good. Now we get to do all that fun on the other side. So we're going to come back into that 4-point kneeling position. Make sure we've got our posture correct. Because I did a lot of explaining at the start, guys, I am going to go over time, probably about 5 minutes, because we have a couple more exercises to do. So apologies if you needed to be off by 9 o'clock. We're probably going to finish about 9:05, so hopefully that's okay with you all. So you can still, I've changed position so you can see the leg that I'm working on, but you don't have to change position. What I need you to do is to place the opposite knee. So the leg that was moving before now becomes the supporting leg. So move it into the center, line it up between the 2 hands, and now we're hovering the opposite leg. So the leg that was supporting now becomes the moving leg. So make sure that T-zone switches on, pelvic floor up, navel in, press away from the mat gently, make sure you're not sinking in on your chest, and then as we breathe out, we reach the leg. Inhale, draw the leg in, and exhale, reach. So really important in this 4-point kneeling position that I remind you, and that you are aware of what position your spine is in. So it's really easy, because even just being in this position can be a bit of work through the shoulders. It's really easy to forget. So I want you to listen to me as I'm working through this, and make sure that if I remind you, keep pressing away from the mat, that you actually do it. That you, oh yes, I have to press away from the mat. Don't forget that. 3, and 2, and hold it out. And we're going to go into those circles. So remembering we're tracing a circle with our toe. 4. Keep the spine nice and still. The T-zone's working, tummy on. And 8. Then reverse the circle. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Very good. Inhale, draw that leg in. This time we're going to keep the knee bent. We're going to flex the foot, and we're going to press the heel up towards the ceiling. 1. Inhale, draw the leg in, and exhale, press. 2. And 3. Keep pressing away from the mat. Keep the tummy drawn in, don't let the back arch. I know those glutes are working hard, but keep your form. 2 more. And 2. Last one. Hold it up. Little pulses again. 8. Squeeze. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. And rest. Well done. Bring that leg all the way through. Sit behind it. And stretch. Lengthening out through that glute. I'm going to face forwards again so you can see where my knee is. So knee is out in front, our leg is extended back, and we're leaning over. Nice deep breathing, making sure we're gently increasing that stretch. and coming up. I'm just going to press back in the child's pose now for a few breaths. Allowing ourselves to sink back. Your knees can be slightly wide and just allow yourself to press back in that position. A few nice deep breaths here. And then we're going to we'll finish with our last exercise, which is Pilates push-ups. Don't freak out. Not as bad as you think. Very good. So we'll come up into our 4-point kneeling position again. Ready for Pilates push-ups. Now, they're called Pilates push-ups because, like every Pilates exercise, form and posture is really important. So the way we see people doing push-ups at the gym, our shoulder blades are sinking in, we're reaching with our head. Oh, it's all kinds of wrong. It feels really uncomfortable for me to demonstrate it. And my osteopath would tell me off, so I'm not going to do it. But we want to make sure it doesn't really matter how far into this planking sort of position that you are. So obviously, if you don't want to make it as hard, you can actually just stay in that 4-point kneeling position. As long as you've got nice posture with your shoulders and your mid-back, that's fine. Obviously, to make it harder, you can send those knees further behind you. And to make it really hard, you can come up onto your feet. So if you want to do that, by all means. I find a lot of load on backs, so I prefer for people to do it on their knees. But if you feel strong enough, you don't feel pressure in your lower back, and you want the extra work through your shoulders, then that's absolutely fine. So we want our hands to be slightly wider than shoulder width. We want to make sure, just like in 4-point kneeling, that our shoulder blades are up against our ribs, and that we maintain that. So we don't start our push-up by sinking in towards the mat. We keep our shoulder blades down and back and up against our rib cage, and all we're doing is bending the elbows. And we do it in 3 stages. So we actually breathe in at the top, and then we breathe out as we lower like this. Inhale, push. Exhale, lower. Inhale, push, and lower. So let's give it a go. Nice knees and thighs glued together. Hands are wide, shoulders down and back. Spine nice and in line. Inhale up top. And exhale, lower. 1, 2, 3. Inhale, push. And again, 1, 2, 3, and push. And again, 1, 2, 3, and push. 1, 2, 3. Let's do 2 more. Well done. 1, 2, 3, and last one. 1, 2, 3, and press back in the child's pose again. Nice work. Real long deep breaths there. Let that heart rate come down a little. So we're going to do another round of those. If you found that really challenging, instead of doing our push-ups, we're going to do a plank. So if you're feeling comfortable enough to do another round of push-ups, by all means. Otherwise, we're going to hold a plank position. So for our plank, we're going to come up. And there's a few different levels for this exercise as well. So we can actually do the plank in 4-point kneeling. So just coming up onto our feet, lifting the knees. We can press our hands and our feet, our knees a little further behind us and hold it in this position, or we can come up onto our feet here. So do what feels comfortable. We're going to try and hold it for about 20 seconds. If you need to come down and have a rest, that's fine. And if at any point you feel any pain in your lower back, just press back in the child's position and rest. So T-zone switches on. Inhale. Now as we exhale, we're going to come up into our chosen plank position and hold. And I want you to try and breathe. Remember not to sink in on the shoulders. So make sure that you're not sinking in through the shoulder blades. Keep yourself pressing away. Well done. And 4. Keep pressing away. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Well done. Good workout, guys. Do a couple of stretches to finish. Good. Walking the hands back. We're going to do a tricep stretch. Now, if you can't kneel, it's fine to just sit either cross-legged or with your knees bent up. So we want to have our elbow as the high point, hand in the center of the back, and just gently bring the elbow across. And you should feel a nice stretch in through the back of the arm. And then we're going to switch arms. And we're going to roll up to finish now. So I want you to walk your hands back towards your feet. Palms are flat down to start off with. Try and have your feet about hip distance apart. Now, if you can't crouch, that's fine for you to come up and start from this position or even this position, depending on your comfort level. T-zone switches on, so pelvic floor up, navel in. And then as we breathe out, I want you to start to straighten the knees. Heels lower to the mat. Eyes look back past the knees, and then we straighten the legs. And then once the legs are straight, or relatively straight, and you can feel the stretching through the back of the thigh, we're going to take some really long, deep breaths. So nice, long, deep breaths. Lengthening through the back of the leg. And then we're going to slowly roll up to finish. So when we do our roll up, it's as we exhale, and we use our tummy muscles to draw ourselves back up. So we're not just standing up from our legs, draw in the tummy, and slowly press yourself back up to straight. Trying to imagine that you're stacking your spine one segment at a time, until finally your head's on top. And then we roll the shoulders back a few times. Open up through the chest. And we're done. Well done, everybody. Good job. And hopefully you got a little bit out of that. I know I certainly did. Feeling much looser through my back and my shoulders. We'll have another class on Thursday, and I will post this recording when I have it. And yeah, hopefully I get to see you guys later on in the week. Lots of water. Rest up. I know lots of us are at home, but try and rest your brain more than anything else. Turn off the news. I know I've got into a bit of a bad habit of checking social media and watching ABC News all day. So I'm going to try and switch off tomorrow. I hope you can do the same. And yeah, I'll see you hopefully later in the week. Any feedback, please send me a text message or a message through the Facebook page. Okay, bye.